Oh, good. I saw Jen Todrick today at Magic Kingdom. Check one. Check 1, 2, 3. You can't hear me? No, you can't come in.
To Mic'd Up Monday. It's your host, me, Coach Mo. Today we have a new and interesting show for you today. We have a lot of things going on, um, and something that new today that we're starting is this right here on the show. So on the show today, we do have a little bit of middle school football. We're going to talk about that really quick. We have a new segment that we've implemented this week. It's called Extra Innings with Alfredo. We will talk a little high school football. Another new segment that we have this week, it's called College Football Pick'em. It's going to be interesting. And we'll talk a little NFL Week 8, or Week 6, sorry, right? Week 6. Um, but yeah, so let's get this show on the road. I got to get my co host here on, so bear with me just 1 second while I get these dang bugs out of the system. We did start something new this week, so there's a lot of new things going on, and hopefully we can get this thing going here. I don't know what's going on. There we go.
Hey, how you doing today, Coach Mo? Mhm. Wow. Go ahead. Oh my gosh. Holy cow.
The regular season. Okay.
All right.
And after dropping 92 points, it's going to be a, I don't know, interesting week for us, I think, because now that we're, up there, people are going to be like, well, they expect that from us, right? So
Right.
we'll see how good things go this week.
Hmm.
How we bounce back from a total 92 points, right? But
Right.
we'll see. We'll see. The playoffs start next week. One will
Right.
play 4, and 2 plays 3. So as the number 1 seed, I think if we win this week, we'll go in as the number 1 seed, and um, and we'll play whoever the 4 seed is. But that's all depending on the games tomorrow. All right, so what was the next thing on our agenda? We got extra innings for the first time ever.
Sure.
All right, well, let's
Let's
see.
do it.
Here's the intro.
Swing a deep drive to left field, way back to the wall, and it's gone! A home run!
That's right. That's the new intro, right?
Right.
It's interesting. I like it. I think it's different, right?
Right.
And we'll see. We'll see how
There's
it
got a
goes.
voiceover and everything.
Yeah, a little voiceover action. I think it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'm a little smaller here than you are because I do want you to be the focal point here to talk about a few of the things that we have going on here, starting with the games, right? So we'll start with the ALDS, one of the first games, the Tigers against the Mariners. Talk a little bit about those games.
Well, as a Tigers fan, obviously it was very frustrating how the season ended, just like last year in the ALDS. Detroit came out big with a victory in game one on the road, dropped the next two actually, and then they were, facing elimination in back-to-back games. Were able to come from behind a 3-0 deficit to force a game five with those 9 runs, which, by the way, is the most they had ever scored in any postseason game. And the Tigers' first postseason game was in 1907. So
Jeez.
that's saying something. And then, of
Yeah.
course, that 15-inning marathon on Friday that did not end until after 1 a.m. our time. And it was, by the way, the longest winner-take-all playoff game in baseball history, going 15 innings. But the Mariners came out on top. They got to the Tigers bullpen finally in the 15th, and they congratulate them because they played a great game and a great series too. I mean, the whole series was really good, back and forth. But congratulations to the Mariners, who are rolling now in the ALCS as well.
Okay. All right. So the next ALDS line that we want to talk about is going to be the Yankees and the Blue Jays. Talk a little bit about that one.
Well, as you can see by the first two games that were played in Toronto in that series, the Blue Jays completely dismantled the Yankees. They ended up in that 4-game series with 50 hits, and
Wow.
Vladimir Guerrero led the pace. Vladimir Guerrero had an over 1,600 OPS. And if you don't know what that is, that's on base plus slugging. So if you add his on base percentage up with what he was slugging, a slugging percentage, which basically takes into effect how a guy is hitting with extra base hits, right? You add
Yeah.
those two together, and a 1,600 OPS. So they were right around 800, right, on both.
Damn.
That's just insane. That's insane. And he ended up hitting 3 home runs, including a grand slam in that series. The Yankees did fight back in that game three back in New York. Aaron Judge had a big game in that one. But ultimately, the Blue Jays, who had the best record in the American League at the end of the season with those 94 wins, came out on top to advance to their first ALCS since 2016. The last time they did it was back 9 years ago, and they're trying to get to their first World Series since 1993, which, by the way, was when they won back-to-back World Series. And
Yeah.
1993 is an important year because it's the last time that both a Canadian baseball and hockey team won their respective championships. I mean, you can expect that from the only team, right, in Major League Baseball. Well, they had the Expos back then, but with so many Canadian teams, they haven't won a Stanley Cup since 1993 either. So
Wow.
both of those curses are trying to go down this year.
Listen, I'll tell you, looking at the scores, I mean, if you add them all together, it looks like it was a lopsided, series here for sure. But, in the 93 series, isn't that the year that they had Mike Timlin in their bullpen?
I don't know if they did or not. I know Timlin did pitch for them in the 90s. I don't know if it went back that far, but that was the year that Joe Carter hit the walk-off home run against Mitch Williams when they were playing the Phillies. And it's, by the way, only the second World Series ever. I mean, the World Series goes back to 1903, where a walk-off home run decided a World Series. 1993, and then, of course, you have to go back to 1960 when the Yankees were involved, and they also lost that World Series to the Pittsburgh Pirates, although they were heavily favored in that series.
All right. So we did talk a little bit about the AL. Now let's talk a little bit about the NL. Talk a little bit about the Dodgers and the Phillies.
This was supposed to be the best of the four series on paper, I think, and the Dodgers ended up coming out on top here. They took care of a Phillies team that really did slump offensively. Well, it may not seem like that when you look at the scores here when they did score those 8 runs in Game 3, but that was their biggest game. I mean, the other 7 runs in 3 games is just not what the Phillies have been doing all year. The Phillies finished with the second best record in Major League Baseball, behind the Milwaukee Brewers in the regular season, and they were outdone by the Dodgers pitching. Of course, you have Shohei Ohtani, who really struggled big time with the bat. He went just 2 for 22 in that NLDS, but he also pitched in the series, and he pitched well. He can do both things, and, he can come out of the bullpen. He can be a starter, and he did pitch very well. He actually started Game 1 of that series, and he, along with Freddie Freeman, the 2 big left-handed bats in that lineup, to go with a lot of right-handed power that Dave Roberts has on that team. So expect the Dodgers, again, they are just, they're the defending champions, and they're a team to look for here in the NLCS moving forward to Milwaukee that can really strike, but Shohei Ohtani has to bounce back because you don't expect him to have a big power outage like he did against those big left-handers that the Phillies have. But they were certainly able to get it done because they did shut down the Phillies. I mean, you take out Kyle Schwarber out of that lineup for those games, and, I mean, Real Muto struggled for the most part. Bryce Harper struggled for the most part. Trey Turner did, other than in Game 3. Those guys just did not get it done, and they were not getting timely hitting with runners in scoring position. So the Dodgers ended up pulling through and, on down to the LCS.
Nice. And the last game that we'll talk about as far as the divisional series is going to be the Cubs against the Brewers. Talk a little bit about that one. That one went 5.
Yeah, this one went 5, and it really should not have. I mean, Milwaukee should have ended this one in Chicago, but the Cubs pushed them all the way back to Milwaukee for that deciding Game 5, and you have to credit the pitching that Milwaukee had, and you don't think about pitching for Milwaukee. I mean, they were the 3rd best offensive team in Major League Baseball coming in to the postseason, and they did score a lot of runs in their first 2 home games. William Contreras was really good. Jackson Chourio, one of the best young, exciting players in the game. Also, Christian Yelich, a former MVP in Major League Baseball. You put those guys at the very top of the lineup with a very young Bryce Turang, with Andrew Vaughn, who has a resurgence ever since he came over from the White Sox. You add in the speed of Sal Frelick. I mean, Joey Ortiz has been really good defensively at shortstop, and this is a really good lineup that took care of a Cubs team that ended up doing everything right that they were supposed to do. But at the end of the day, Milwaukee, just with too much depth, and you can't win with just having one or two guys batting well in the lineup. Pete Crow Armstrong was good for them, Nico Horner as well, but ultimately Milwaukee just had a little too much depth.
All right, yeah, hell yeah. Now, with the playoffs in the AL and NLCS, Game 2 tonight, I want to talk a little bit about the Mariners and the Blue Jays. Talk to me a little bit about that game.
Well, Game 1 was last night in Toronto, and they, Bryce Miller came in and pitched for Seattle on short rest, and he gave up a leadoff home run to George Springer, which, by the way, was the first ever leadoff home run in Toronto postseason history, and completely shut him down after that. They came back and they won the first game on the road after having played that marathon game on Friday and having to travel cross country, and into another country, in this case, to play in Toronto, a team that was well rested, and they had their entire starting rotation lined up, but it didn't work out for them. Kevin Gausman pitched well, but ultimately it was a pitcher's duel, and Bryce Miller ended up outdoing him, and they got some timely hitting, and they ended up winning game one. Game two is currently being played right now, and the Mariners, my goodness, are up 10-3 in that game right now at the seventh inning stretch. And today is, by the way, Canadian Thanksgiving. Toronto already, their hockey team already lost today to the Red Wings at home. And so they don't want to lose another one, but it doesn't look good right now going into the bottom of the seventh for the Jays. Vladimir Guerrero has struggled. He is hitless so far in this series. So, I mean, what a series can do for you. But, I mean, Seattle's with a lot of power. I mean, you look at these lineups, and the Mariners probably have a little bit more depth on that in that 1 through 9. I mean, you had Cal Raleigh, who had a monster historic year for a catcher, hitting 60 home runs, only the 8th player ever to hit 60 home runs in the regular season. And he did it as a catcher. I mean, he hit 8 more home runs than any other catcher in the history of baseball. You got to go back to 72 when Johnny Bench hit 52 that year, but 60 home runs. And then you also have Julio Rodriguez, who hit a 3-run home run in today's game. You've got Jorge Polanco, who a lot of people don't know, and really they didn't think it was a big deal when they got him from Minnesota. But this guy has gotten timely hit after timely hit. He also got a 3-run homer in this game. He was the one that walked off the Tigers on Friday, by the way. And this man has been like a one-man wrecking crew. At the top of the lineup, you have a lot of speed, and Randy Arozarena, who has been good. And then, of course, Victor Robles, who hasn't done much with the bat ever since they got him from the Washington Nationals, but he's got a lot of speed. So they're stacking speed at the top and at the bottom, and Dan Wilson's team is just taking it to the Jays right now. Yesevich, who started today for the Blue Jays, did not fare very well. And another guy that started today on short rest was Gilbert, and he has completely shut them down after the first couple of innings, giving up those 3 runs. So if the Mariners win this, they'll be up 2-0 heading back to Seattle, and all they would need to do is just win 2 out of 3 up there to win their first ever pennant.
Yeah, that was my question. That was my next question. Out of this ALCS, who is your pick for the World Series?
My pick for the World Series, if you would have asked me yesterday afternoon, I would have told you the Blue Jays, just because they were rested and they had their pitching lined up. Yeah. Vladdy was hitting bombs everywhere. Yeah. George Springer is getting on base and also showing a lot of power, even without Bo Bichette, who's missed more than a month now with a shoulder issue, and he was not on the ALCS roster. But I thought with all of that, and with starting with the 2 games at home, that they were going to get to the World Series. But what the Mariners are doing, I mean, potentially taking the first 2 on the road and then having to only win 2 out of 3 in their field in Seattle, I think right now Seattle has the best opportunity. And the back end of the bullpen, I think, is a little bit better for Seattle, even though Toronto's more rested. But we'll see what Spire can do. We'll see what Munoz can do as they're closer. And they've been getting production from everybody so far in this series.
All right, so I need you to give me a pick. Is it Seattle? Is it Toronto in the World Series?
Seattle right now, of course. Yeah, I mean, how can you not up 2-0 on the road?
Well, we want to get you locked in, so next week
it makes it easier. I'm confident. I'm confident if they hold on to win this game. Yeah, Seattle is going to be in their first ever World Series. That's crazy. Insane. I mean, you think about the teams in the 90s. Remember, they had Randy Johnson. They had Ken Griffey Jr. They had Alex Rodriguez, Edgar Martinez. I mean, look at the names. I mean, all of these guys, except A-Rod, are Hall of Famers, and A-Rod should be, but they couldn't win it. In 2001, they won 116 games. That's the most in American League history, and they couldn't get to the World Series. They lost in the ALCS. Yeah, so this Seattle team could potentially outdo what all those teams did 25 years.
All right, so we got you locked in for the AL. We have the Seattle Mariners, got Alfredo locked in with a team. But there is a team that they have to face, and that is the NLCS winner, which would probably be the Dodgers or the Brewers What is your thought on this one? I know that this one's about to start here at 8:08, either on TBS, True TV, or HBO Max. So who do you got here in this series? And I need you to lock in your vote for who's going to go to the World Series.
All right. Well, first a little preview. The thing that worries me about Milwaukee, even though they did have the best record in Major League Baseball in the regular season, is that after Aaron Ashby, who is their starter today, and Freddie Peralta, who is scheduled to pitch tomorrow, it's a crapshoot. Pat Murphy has been able to pull the right moves all season long, but it's been mostly, like we mentioned earlier, it's been their offense, third best in runs scored in not just the National League, but in all of Major League Baseball. And they've been able to get it done. Now, in the regular season, this is a very interesting stat. They played the Dodgers 6 times. They beat them all 6 times. 3 in Milwaukee, 3 in LA. But, of course, this is the postseason. The Dodgers, of course, are the defending champion. They have Ohtani, who I think will be better, obviously. He can't go worse than 2 for 22 in this series. They have Freddie Freeman. And they have Mookie Betts is a former American League MVP. He was in Boston. And, of course, they have the pitching. They have a 2-time Cy Young Award winner starting tonight, former Tampa Bay Ray, of course, going in Game 1 today. And then for the rest of the series, they are lined up pretty well because of what they were able to do with the Phillies. But I do like Milwaukee in the series, believe it or not. Wow. Despite the Dodgers World Series experience, I do think that Milwaukee is going to get to their first World Series since 1982. That was the last time and the only time they've ever been in the Fall Classic. That was the infamous Harvey's Wallbangers team that Harvey Keene managed. They had, a great Cecil Cooper was on that team. They had a couple of Hall of Famers on there. They had Paul Molitor, Robin Yount was on that team. So they got to the World Series. They were in the American League at the time. This time they are a National League team. And I do think, though, that if they can quiet these pitchers, Yoshi Yamamoto is supposed to go tomorrow. And he's supposed to get the start. Roki Sasaki is actually going to pitch out of the bullpen, supposedly. And for Milwaukee, if Jacob Misarowski can continue to pitch well in relief, I think that Milwaukee will come away with this series. So it's kind of an upset pick for me. But how awesome would it be to see a Milwaukee versus, say, Seattle World Series where somebody's going to win their first World Series?
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Well, you all have heard it here first. Alfredo has the Brewers going against Seattle, so we'll see what happens. And ladies and gentlemen, this was your first ever look at Extra Innings.
Swing, deep drive to left field, way back to the wall, and it's gone! Home run!
Yeah, man, that's crazy. That was good. I enjoyed that. That was fun.
Thanks.
So you are the man when it comes to baseball. Everything that I think embodies what it is to know about the sport. You really know the history of it. You know all of the what's going on. I think you take pride in really knowing everything that has to do with baseball. So I appreciate you coming on the show and showing us what you have.
Well, as somebody that loves history in general, and the sport of baseball, you combine those two. And, I do write for SABR, the Society for American Baseball Research, which is a lot of fun. And I'm also a patron member of the National Hall of Fame, the MLB Hall of Fame. So I enjoy writing about the history. You can read my articles. I have them on WordPress and, just search Alfredo Muente MLB. And my most recent article is about Joel Youngblood. Are you familiar with him?
I don't.
Joel Youngblood was a guy who I wrote it on the anniversary of the day that he was the only person in MLB history to have 2 hits in separate cities for 2 separate teams on the same day. So it's a very interesting story.
Very interesting.
He got traded mid-game after already having a hit off of Ferguson Jenkins. He was with the Mets, got a hit off the Cubs, Fergie Jenkins, flew to Philadelphia where he was now traded to the Montreal Expos, faced another Hall of Famer, all right, in Steve Carlton, and got a base hit in that game coming in like the 4th inning of that game. So, 2 hits, wow. 2 separate cities with 2 different teams, unreal.
Against
in the same
2
day. 2 guys that would go on to go to the Hall of Fame, Jenkins and Carlton.
Wow.
Joel Youngblood. Mhm.
That is an interesting stat. I never heard that one yet. So that's good. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Well,
1983.
this wouldn't be a mic'd up Monday if it wasn't for the high school football we're about to talk about. So I'm going to run through a couple of the scores of last Friday's games. Tell me where you want to stop. We'll talk a little bit about some other sports. Now, talking about high school football, I do want to point out the fact that I was officially offered the position over at the Gulf Coast Sports Network. So I'll be joining them as
awesome.
a broadcaster coming up.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, hopefully I could fill in one of these days. For sure, definitely have a call probably the day before Halloween will probably be a call that I have in Hernando
Oh, congrats.
at the high school. So that'll be fun. You can catch them on YouTube, GCSN. Go check them out, y'all. But yeah, so let's get to some of these scores. So Berkeley Prep, they beat Tampa Catholic. Can you believe that? 19-7.
That's crazy.
That's nuts. Jesuit, of course, destroys Middleton 63-7. Largo
doesn't?
beat Steinbrenner 34-21. Jefferson beat Chamberlain 35-8. Robinson beat King 42-14. Gaither destroys Springstead.
Cowboys.
Yes, the Cowboys win 49-0. Unlike the other Cowboys that we'll talk about in a little bit.
Oh my gosh.
Sumner beats Hillsboro 24-7. Spoto beat Lato 48-0. Durant beat Bloomingdale 28-6. Blake beat Brandon 57-0. Plant City beat Strawberry Crest 37-13. Alonzo lost to Newsom 35-14. Zephyr Hills beat Freedom 50-0.
I saw that.
One-sided affair, much like the next game what we'll talk about is Armwood against Sickles, 49-0. Tampa Bay Tech wins 32-9 over East Bay. Plant beats Wharton 28-12. Riverview beat Bartow 20-6. Here's one that I want to talk about. Hudson against Anclote.
Okay.
Hudson beats Anclote 9-0.
Yeah.
What?
Was it 3 field goals or
I don't know.
I don't know what happened there. But okay, so yeah, we can start with that class. That's 3A9, right?
Yeah.
Class 3A District 9. Hudson is now 1-2 in the district because of their win there. Anclote is 0-2. It's funny, but it doesn't really matter because Nature Coast Tech, they've already finished off their district schedule. They're 3-0 in the district, and they've already clinched that district. So congratulations to Coach Hawley there. Dunedin is the only Pinellas team in that district, by the way, and they're 1-1. So Dunedin still with the inside track to potentially be the runner-up in that district, but it's going to go down between Dunedin and Hudson. Now Dunedin beat Hudson earlier in the year, so they still have to play Anclote, which they will probably win that game. So my guess is that that really Hudson already has played all 3 of theirs, so they can just sit and watch, right? And so they're hoping that Anclote wins.
Yeah,
that's the only chance.
Do you know if that game is at Dunedin or is that at Anclote?
I don't know where it's at. I just know that Dunedin just got torched by Nature Coast. I think they only got a safety in that game.
Yeah, I think we'll talk about that in a minute. But so Coach Kleiman, the head coach there at Dunedin, former Anclote High School head coach. So I don't know if he's going to go back.
Player at Dunedin.
Yeah, former player at Dunedin. So I don't know if he's going to go back to Anclote and see if he can win that game, or if the Anclote's going to travel to Dunedin and see if they can beat him at his alma mater. So we'll see.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to check that out. But a couple other notable scores. The game that I was at, that Crystal River against Central game, it was a lot of scoring. In the first half. I think the going into halftime, I think it was like 24-18 or something like that. And so yeah, there was only one score in the third and the fourth. So just one. Now here's what you'll find interesting is Crystal River started a quarterback. He was number 82.
Yeah, I heard.
And this was the first time he'd ever played quarterback for that team. So he came in first game, comes off a win. So 32-0. And the week before they had gotten blanked by the Villages 49-0. So Central needed that to try to squeeze into the playoffs. So now Crystal River is in the driver's seat for theirs. Clearwater convincingly beat River Ridge 46-7. Mm-hmm. Wesley Chapel beat Cypress Creek 28-6. This is the game you were just talking about. That Nature Coast Dunedin game 38-2. Unbelievable. Listen, that kid, the running back for Nature Coast, look out for him, dude. I'm telling you, he's, I think, a sophomore. His name's RJ Jones. Watch for him to do some big things here at the high school. 5A beat Pasco 55-20.
And 5A got another great rushing performance, but it wasn't by Jabari Brooks this time. They had a different running back. No, it was a different running back who ended up, lighting it up. So, I mean, 5A's got great runners. I mean, and as a team, they don't do much, which is kind of puzzling. Yeah.
Interesting, yeah. Well, the same thing with, Springstead. The Springstead team that I've watched now 3 times this year, and it's going to be 4 after this week because I think I'm going to their game on Friday. But they have one play, the read option, and that's what their bread and butter is, and that's what they run 80 times a game. Like 80% they run that play. So another game, Lando Lakes against Sun Lake. We talked about that with Andy last week. Like I mentioned, I anticipated Lando Lakes winning that game 27-7. Mitchell beating Wiregrass 31-6. St. Pete Catholic winning 48-6 over Northside Christian. Let's see, any other game?
And how about St. Pete Catholic, ranked first now in Pinellas County overall when you take all the schools into account? And that's the first time we haven't seen like a CCC or a Lakewood up there or a Calvary Christian. How about St. Pete Catholic, man?
Unbelievable.
The Barons. Right? Yeah.
Unbelievable. Mm-hmm. Another game that not very surprising, but Hernando won 43-0 over Citrus. How bad is Citrus? Because I've seen Hernando, and Hernando's not great. I know that I'll probably be calling one of their games here later on this year, but they didn't impress me when I got to see them against Springstead. So 43
Citrus. They forgot to bring the oranges, man.
Evidently. CCC won 51-12. That was a big bounce back for them. This is a sad game. Golf beating Countryside 35-14.
Awful,
right?
Countryside's homecoming. I mean, we can talk about that class if you want.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about that class.
Well, you mentioned Clearwater had beaten River Ridge because that was a big one for them. Clearwater now, of course, 2-0, and they're going to win that district. The big game this week, next week, on the 24th, and it's crazy to say the big game, but River Ridge against Golf. After Golf defeats Countryside on the road at Countryside's homecoming, very convincingly, by the way.
Yeah.
They now have to play River Ridge, who seems beatable, and both of those teams are 1-1 in 4A10. Countryside, of course, is out now, but who is going to join Clearwater in the playoffs? I mean, the winner of that game will, and I'm not going to say that it's going to be River Ridge. I mean, it should be, but the Buccaneers have been playing well.
Yeah, they did. I mean, interesting.
Andy was right.
I think.
Andy was right, man. Andy was right. He says Golf has all winnable games.
Yeah, and we'll see. That's another game that I'm going to be keeping an eye out for. Is that River Ridge Golf game? That's going to be a really good game.
That's going to be awesome. That's going to be.
How about this? Eastlake beating Palm Harbor 35-24.
Yes, and like I was saying last week, that game right there was probably going to decide who else makes it into the playoffs. Because obviously in 6A10, Steinbrenner, they're 0-2.
Right.
But the interesting thing is that now Palm Harbor is 0-2. So it's pretty easy to figure that now Largo and Eastlake, they're the 2 teams that are going to go to the playoffs. That district has been settled. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I get to see Eastlake one more time this year. And I've seen Largo. Well, this week I'll be at Lakewood against Gibbs. I get to watch, and I'm excited because Lakewood, of course, should win that game convincingly. But I want to see Gibbs' rushing attack because, Gibbs is 2 of the top 10 running backs as far as yards in Pinellas County.
Okay.
Alexis leading the way. So I'm looking forward to seeing him. It's at Gibbs. I don't think they're going to win the game, but they can certainly put up some points, and that might be a high-scoring game.
Oh,
That's good. That could be a slugfest. But I'm looking forward to seeing Gibbs for the first time this year, and again, Lakewood. Again, they're awesome. But we'll talk about them in just a little bit.
yeah. So what about this game? The Hollins Seminole game.
40 to
Hollins
8,
won
right?
40-8. How
Congratulations to Seminole to score 8 points, man.
how is Seminole that bad?
They've scored 14 points all year. 14.
Unreal, dude. That is
Yeah, eight
unreal to me.
eight of their 14 points were scored this past week, and they gave up 40 to Hollins. Hollins, by the way, not a good team. Both of them were 0-6. That's Hollins' first win of the year, by the way.
And a
So,
convincing one at that.
well, yeah, but I mean, if you don't beat Seminole convincingly, 32 points doesn't even seem like enough. But that really it doesn't mean much. Both of those teams. And the weird thing to me though is that last year Seminole was 8-2.
Oh,
8-2. Yeah. They lost a lot of guys. But one of the interesting things that people don't realize, Seminole doesn't have a district. They're not in a district. They cannot go to the playoffs. So last year at 8-2, they didn't make the playoffs because they're not in the FHSAA district. I don't know what you call it, but they're undistricted, if that's even a word.
yeah. I didn't know
So
that.
yeah, even a 10-0 team would not have made the playoffs because they
Wow.
have to qualify within a district or as a runner-up. So that 8-2 team that was really good, and I saw them play against Countryside last year, looked really good. I don't know what's happened, man. How do you go from 8-2 to
Oh,
zero
and
and
seven.
seven at this point,
Yeah, and
having
seven.
only scored 14
14
points the
points.
entire year? That's
Unbelievable.
insane. Yeah.
Unbelievable. What about that
Yeah.
St. Pete Northeast game, 31-21?
Yeah, that was the one that I was at. I
Yeah.
was told Northeast runs a wing T now. Northeast is a team that last year was throttled by St. Pete 42-0. And many people thought that Northeast was going to win this game, and rightly so. But St. Pete came in there and they played well. I think I'm their good luck charm because St. Pete's only won 2 games this year, and both were the games that I attended. They beat Boca Ciega, but this is a huge win for them. But that is, to me, out of all the districts, okay, the coolest one. You know why? Because all 4 teams in that district are 1-1 in the district.
Oh, wow.
So it's up
And
for
it's up
grabs.
for
So
grabs.
both games are going to be great on the 24th. You have Northeast after their loss here, and a sad loss to them on their homecoming this past
Yeah.
week. Lost 31-21. They're playing Southeast Bradenton, but Southeast Bradenton has not been good this year. This is not the Southeast Bradenton of 25 years ago.
Yeah.
And then of course you also have Osceola, who's 1-1 in the district, as well as St. Pete, and they play on the 24th. So the 2 winners of that game are going to go to the playoffs.
That's crazy, man. That's crazy. And,
Right.
and another fun fact that I wanted to point out that you've been to 4 homecomings this year. 4.
4 out of 8. So half of the games that I've been to have been homecoming games. 3 in a row now. And I don't know if Gibbs is having their homecoming this Friday, but why not, man? Yeah.
Make it
But
4
no,
for 4 in a row.
it's crazy. At 4 homecoming games, sometimes you miss them all, and I didn't even know that it was their homecoming game.
Right.
But but it was a fun game back and forth. I mean, St. Pete really they never took their foot off the pedal here, and they were able to stop the wing tee off. They have a freshman. Northeast is a freshman quarterback, okay, and I didn't know that going in, but. They've struggled. I mean, overall, Northeast has played better than most people thought at the beginning of the year because of the type of offense they were running.
Yeah.
But St. Pete exposed them, man. And they have a guy, I believe, at a quarterback transfer from Plant. His name is Underwood, and he played well. He played
wow.
really well. But Northeast, basically, they just run the ball. Like I said, they have 2 guys. Walter Jr. was one of their running backs, and I forget the other guy's name. But they ran the ball, I think, north of 40 times,
Oh, crap.
and they only threw 5 passes in the entire game. Which, by the way, they completed all 5.
Oh, really?
But yeah, it was interesting.
So the
One guy
quarterback was
came.
5 for 5. I mean, that's
Well,
pretty
one of them
decent.
was 4 for 4, and then another guy came in
Oh.
to throw a pass on like a trick play, and it ended up connecting for a score. But
okay.
yeah, very very interesting game. St. Pete, though, even though they won by 10, the score was closer than really what it indicated on the field. They
Right.
played way better. Of course, the Green Devils are not going anywhere this year. It's only their 2nd win of the season. But like I said, they could go into the playoffs if they can somehow go in there and beat Osceola, which I don't think they'll do.
Right. Right. Okay. Speaking of Osceola beat Southeast 20-14.
Yeah.
So that's crazy. And then
Right.
Pinellas Park beat Braden River 35-16.
Yeah, this is a
Um,
3-team.
yeah,
Oh, I'm
go
sorry.
ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say this is a 3-team district. This is 5A9. Pinellas Park has now played both of their district games, so they finished 1-1. Braden River's the team they beat, and Manatee, they're 1-0. So now Manatee has to go play Braden River in a couple of weeks, and that will, I believe, that will decide who goes into the district. They could all finish 1-1 if Braden River beats Manatee. So I don't know. There's going to be a sort of tiebreaker situation on who beat who, but Pinellas Park did beat Braden River, but Manatee beat Pinellas Park. So, of course, the Patriots are hoping that Braden River beats Manatee because then that means that Pinellas Park qualifies no matter what.
Yep. Awesome. All right. Well, I mean, everything is still open. Still, those are all the games that were played. But we have an interesting week this week. What game are you going to go to? I think you mentioned it a little bit ago, but what game are you going to?
Yeah, Lakewood against Gibbs. And as far as Lakewood goes, they also play in a 3-team district. And Andy was right on the money last week. He said they were going to have their hands full against Cardinal Mooney, and they did. They lost their first game of the year. Lakewood is now just the one loss, and the loss there to Cardinal Mooney. And, of course, the other team in that district is Tarpon Springs. They're down. Tarpon is 0-1 in the district, and I think Cardinal Mooney is just going to probably run rule them there. Or not run rule. They're going to mercy rule them there. I can't see Tarpon doing anything against Cardinal Mooney, who will probably go to another state championship this year in 2A.
Yeah, they really took care of business when they went to Lakewood 35-12. Yeah. So I mean, I think you're absolutely right when you say that they're going to just take another run to the, a state championship there. But we'll see. Every game is new. Every Friday is fresh, and any given Friday, I say, anything could happen, right?
Hey, Gibbs is nothing really to play for. I mean, they're 0-2 in the district, as well as Bayshore in that 3A11. I mean, you already have Booker and Boca Ciega advancing. But how about Boca Ciega?
Yeah.
The Pirates, who don't score a lot, it seems. They're 2-0 in the district. They've beaten Bayshore. They've beaten Gibbs. And they're through. I mean, Booker's obviously the class of 3A11.
Right.
But Booker and Boca Ciega, they're headed to the postseason, and Gibbs is out. So I don't know what's going to happen this week. And I think Lakewood's going to beat them handily. But like you said, any given Friday, right?
That's right. And that, ladies and gentlemen, has been our talk about high school football. But after they play on Friday, they play on Saturday. And this is a new segment that we're going to be doing, and it is called College Pick'em.
The old Monday Night Football intro.
Yeah, so it is going to be a little bit different, right? Things you haven't seen before. So this week, what we're going to do is we're going to take 5 matchups, and myself and Alfredo are going to pick one, and then we'll see how that goes. Obviously, first I wanted to talk a little bit about the game that I was talking to you about last week, that BYU against Arizona game. We did talk a little bit about that, where BYU ended up winning in double overtime, so that was kind of crazy to me. But I was really hoping my upset win would be going strong there. You know what I mean?
And they could have gone to a triple overtime, but the receiver for Arizona dropped that pass in the back of the end zone on a good throw by Fafita.
Yeah.
And BYU, I mean, give them credit. I mean, still undefeated and at the top of the Big 12.
Yeah.
They're back, man.
Listen, so before we go into the matchups, I do want to talk about a couple of games. The first game that I want to talk about is that Alabama-Missouri game that Alabama pulled off 27-24, right?
Yeah.
Crazy to me.
Yeah.
I was kind of secretly hoping Missouri would win that game.
Well, I mean, but the Tigers did play well, and they played them tough. Of course, Alabama is now in the top 10 as a result of that, and it drops Missouri all the way down to 16. But
16.
I mean, they were they were 14th down to 16th, and now they go to Auburn, and Auburn had sort of a controversial finish in their game the other day.
Yeah.
So this will be interesting what happens there between Missouri and Auburn, because these are two teams that I think Missouri has a really good chance to win there on the road. But I mean,
Sure.
it's always tough to play at Auburn, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And then a game that I was kind of surprised about was the Oklahoma-Texas game where Texas pulled off 23-6. I was like, okay, what's happening here?
I mean, John Mateer was not 100%. He came in as one of the top leading Heisman contenders at the beginning of the year, and I just don't know. I mean, they play, and it's not like Arch Manning had an amazing game. It's just the defense for Texas was stifling, man, at the Cotton Bowl. I mean, give them credit, because after a loss to Florida,
Yeah.
and then they come back against their most hated rival in a neutral site, and in front of a national audience, to play that well, to hold them to just the 6 points.
Yeah.
Give that defense for Texas credit, man. I mean, they really showed what they can do.
Yeah, they stepped it up for sure, because after losing the week before, but I think that, as a football coach myself, I think it drives, it gives you that extra fire to come out that next week and really prove why you are in the position that you are, right? So I think that's what happened. One of the reasons why Texas won, but they're up to 21st, so.
Well, and now they play Kentucky, so could that be a trap game for them after such a high leverage situation against their heated rivals, and then they go to Kentucky and drop a game there? It's very possible.
Let's hope not.
It's very possible.
Let's hope not. Another game, the Florida Texas A&M game. I will stand that I was really thinking that Florida was going to pull that one off before the game, listening to the coach talk. But now I think they're back to wanting to fire Napier. I don't know.
They're on that train. But see, this is the thing, though. I mean, why do the Gators not have an offensive coordinator? I mean, Billy Napier did not hire someone, and he's calling on. So it's on him, man.
Yeah.
I mean, all the load's on him, and it's hard to coach in the SEC. It's hard to go and coach at Florida, because you're going to get it from all from the fans, from the media, because you are in such an important conference and such an important college, and. He's doing it to himself. I'm sorry. Yes, they play tough in the first half, but I mean, Kyle Field is one of the hardest places to go in and play at College Station. And, they haven't had a good quarterback there since Johnny Manziel, but my gosh, that in college. But Texas A&M has been unreal. And, I mean, just give them all the credit in the world to be able to put them away. I mean, they really just did. They wore him down in that second half.
Yeah. Like I said, great win for Texas A&M. I was, if we were doing this last week, I would have picked the Gators, and I would have lost. But the last game, obviously not a fun one for you to talk about, but the Indiana-Oregon game, I would say, I'm going to say that was an upset. Okay, I'm going to go on and say that was an upset. But now Indiana's third. That's unreal.
I don't think they're the third best team in the country. They came in, and look, give them all the credit in the world. You can't go into Autzen Stadium and win most of the time. It's only Dan Lanning's second home loss as a head coach.
Crazy.
They had won 18 straight at Autzen, so you don't go in there and win a game, but they did, and you have to give them credit, because Mendoza played great. They had Kurt Signetti had their guys ready, and they took the crowd out of it quite early. I think Dante Moore's chances of winning the Heisman really took a huge hit. He threw a couple of picks late in that game. He was rattled the offense just was unwatchable. And I was so frustrated watching that team, because that's not how they play. Look at how they just played a couple of weeks ago against Penn State.
Yeah.
They go into Happy Valley and they beat that team. They upset them at the time because they were third at the time. And then they come home 2 weeks later after a bye week, and they lose to an Indiana team that, frankly, they should have beaten. But Indiana's defense is for real, man. Mm-hmm. And they have a running back in Hambry that is very hard to tackle. I mean, Tuioti wasn't able to tackle him. Uiagalelei wasn't able to tackle. And, I mean, he was stripping guys left and right. I mean, and it's not easy to do that when you have guys like Dylan Thieneman up there, the transfer from Purdue. and a guy like Bryce Betcher, who is the heart and soul of that defense, you know? So
Yeah.
give them credit, and Dan Lanning was not happy, as he should not have been. I think they're going to go in and into Rutgers this weekend and maybe put up 100 points because, I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know. It's going to be tough for Rutgers, for the Scarlet Knights there. But, man, it was so frustrating. And, look, it's fine because look at what happened last year. Oregon was the only undefeated team in the regular season, and then they got blown out in the playoff game against Ohio State, a team that they had beaten in the regular season. So maybe they needed this. Maybe they needed a loss to kind of set them back a little bit. They only dropped to 8. No big deal. You
Yeah.
know, you think that right now maybe Indiana and Ohio State are the two teams that are going to play for the Big Ten championship, but there's still a lot of football to be played. Indiana could lose a game here and there. They almost did to Iowa.
Right.
Okay, so Indiana, if they have a bad game, they'll lose. Look at what's
Yeah.
happening to Penn State. They've fallen off the rails. I don't think that's
Absolutely.
going to happen to Ohio State, but you could potentially see an Ohio State versus Indiana or an Ohio State against Oregon Big Ten championship, and that should decide the seedings come playoff time.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So now back to the regular scheduled program. We are going to talk a little bit about Week 8, and this is going to be fun because now we have a solid picks, right? And I didn't put any of the rankings next to them because I didn't want to be biased towards one or the other. Obviously, we know where they are, but all right. So first game, LSU Vanderbilt. Let's see what each of us chose. Oh, okay. So that's going to be one. I think LSU's got the edge here over Vanderbilt. Why did you pick Vanderbilt?
Well, seeing as LSU being the 10th best team in the country, they're on the road, and I think they do have Brian Kelly has one of the better defenses in all the country. You have to if you want to be successful in the SEC. But what Diego Pavia and that offense for Vanderbilt has been doing, they have been taking it to teams' defenses. And if in this game, I only picked them because it was at home. I like them in Nashville. They played very well there. And it was a very tough one for me. I like LSU's defense better than Vanderbilt's, but I think Pavia and the Vanderbilt offense is better. Garrett Nussmeier has not lived up to expectations this year. I thought he was also going to be a guy that could potentially win the Heisman Trophy, but he hasn't really done much. I mean, the LSU offense has been blah, right, so far. So unless they can put everything together on the road here, then they could potentially get a huge road victory. But I like Vanderbilt.
Here's what I think. I think this for LSU is in Week 8 now their statement game. I think that they're going to go into Vanderbilt and take care of business, and that's why I picked them to win. So that was game number 1. Let's talk a little about game number 2. We got Washington against Michigan. Let's see what we got here. Oh, we both got Michigan there. Come on.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and look, there's been a lot of inconsistencies with the Wolverines this year. I mean, Sharon Moore was suspended for a couple of games because of all the stuff that was going on behind the scenes there.
Yeah.
And they're inconsistent. But, dude, come on. They're hosting Washington. They have to win this game. I mean, it's a conference game, and it's a team that is unranked, a team coming in with Jedd Fisch, who has also been inconsistent. Their best game was at home against Ohio State. And even that game was a loss for them. So I can't see them going to the big house on the road and taking Michigan, even though Michigan just lost the game here.
Listen, this next one here is Ole Miss against Georgia. I think we both have Georgia there. This was going to be the upset pick for me. I was going to pick Ole Miss. And I'll tell you why. It's much like that LSU Vanderbilt game. Georgia hasn't showed me it, right? They haven't had that game, so it's either going to be a statement game for either Ole Miss or Georgia. I think the winner here is en route to a good playoff run there.
Yeah, I mean, unless somebody can take out Texas A&M, who happens to be the highest-ranked SEC team, Ole Miss is right behind them, 5th overall, and they're still undefeated. But they almost had an upset. Did you watch them play against Washington State this week at home in Oxford? They almost lost that game to Washington State. I mean, that was almost the upset of the week, man.
Yeah, that would have been the upset of the week. This would have been much easier to pick if that would have happened.
I mean, if Ole Miss still had Jackson Dart, I would say yes. But I don't know. I mean, no, but seriously, no. Georgia, yeah, again, they rarely lose at home. I think that loss to Alabama earlier this year at home is the exception, kind of like what happened with Oregon this week against
Yeah.
Indiana. But watch them to bounce back at Athens. I mean, Sanford Stadium is almost a win for Georgia every time they step onto that field.
Yeah, absolutely. Another game that I think I picked all random games, dude. I didn't want to pick like ranked against unranked. That wouldn't be fair. We'd always pick the same spot. But again, Tennessee against Alabama. We both have Alabama there. I don't know. After this past week where Tennessee barely beat Arkansas, I'm sorry, the week before, right?
Right.
But
Well,
who knows?
yeah, but that happens in that conference. I mean, they wear each other down, and you're not going to play your best football for an entire 11 or 12 game schedule, and that was what happened to Tennessee. Now they're 5-1. They're on the road, and Joey Aguilar. I mean, you got to agree. Nobody knew who this guy was, at least outside of Knoxville, Tennessee. I don't think many people really knew who he was. I mean, they
Right.
had Nico Iamaleava last year. He transferred over to UCLA, and they're like, okay, well, we're going to go with Joey Aguilar. All he's done is mostly win, right? So I don't think they're going to beat Alabama, but you never know with the Kalen DeBoer team now. They could have a letdown, and I could see Tennessee upsetting them, at Bryant Denny Stadium, but I don't think it's going to happen. But it'll be a closer game than most people think, though.
Listen, I would think more easier to happen would be the Ole Miss Georgia game rather than the Tennessee Alabama game. That's just my thought process. But our last pick'em game for the week is going to be the Texas Tech against Arizona State. I think if what happened last week didn't happen, I think this would be a much easier, maybe Arizona State pick because they're playing at home there. But at the end of the day, Texas Tech ranked 7th now against an unranked now Arizona State. I don't know, man.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a pretty convincing win, I think, by Texas Tech.
Oh, for sure. And the fact that Sam Levitt may not play again, the quarterback for Arizona State,
Yeah.
really knocks out their chances. The only thing I think that Arizona State has going for them is that they're at home playing at, I believe, 1 o'clock their time, and it is going to be hot on that field. I know Texas Tech also sometimes plays in the heat, but man, I don't know. I can't see Texas Tech not winning convincingly here on the road.
Yeah. Like I said, I think some of these games are a little bit easier because we picked them before we knew all the the finals of the other games. But at the end of the day, the game that we're really going to be watching is that LSU Vanderbilt game, so we can talk about it for bragging rights next week. But ladies and gentlemen, that was the first installment of College Pick'em.
There you go.
Yeah, that was it, man. What'd you think? We got the new intros. We got the new graphics. I think we're looking pretty good, man.
Yeah, like I was saying, that looks like the old Monday Night Football intro with the two helmets banging.
Yeah, I made that graphic. So,
awesome.
But yeah. So there's only one last thing to talk about before we take off today, and it is going to be NFL week. What are we on? 7 now? Week 6?
Yeah.
Week 6?
It's week 6 right now. Yeah.
Yeah, week 6. So it all started off with the Giants-Eagles game, upset, of course. What?
Cam Scatterboo, man. Cam Scatterboo.
Yeah, and you know what? He's sitting on my bench on my fantasy team. Yeah, and this was the first week because the last couple weeks I had him on. He was doing and then he just blows up, dude.
That must have been on your other league because in our league, Max had him and he played against Kalen this week and he scored like 30 points on Yahoo Fantasy. And that's the reason with Kalen's losing because of one guy.
That's crazy to me. The Broncos beating the Jets. What is that? Like, dude, 13-11. I would have rather have slept through that whole game because it was a snooze fest from start to finish. The only highlight there that I could say is that the Broncos had 9 sacks, which is crazy.
Yeah. Bo Nix, again, did not have a good game. Justin Fields, to say that he didn't have a good game is an understatement. He finished with -10 passing yards. That is the worst in franchise history. I
Dude,
tell
I
you, if
was
Joe
so.
Namath was dead, he'd be rolling in his grave, but he's still alive.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I've seen Fields play since he was in high school. Man,
Yeah,
I don't know.
he was awesome at Ohio. Yeah, he was awesome at Ohio State. He didn't have a bad tenure with the Bears, but he was in a wrong offensive system, right?
Yeah.
Under Matt Nagy, and then he
Mhm.
goes off to Pittsburgh, and kind of struggles there a little. So he's kind of a journeyman now.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, but the way to the first half of that game, and I don't know if you watched that game in London,
Yeah.
but it was awful the way they had the ball and they would not call a timeout. They had it at midfield. They had a chance to get down to potentially kick a field goal, which, by the way, could have been the difference in the game.
Yeah.
And no, but when those two teams play,
I think they're
not a lot of scoring.
If you pick the last 4 times they've played, I think overall they've scored less than 50 points.
25, 24. Yeah, it's that
been,
game should have been played at 3 a.m. on the Weather Channel.
That's right. So the Cardinals Colts game, it went back and forth.
Exciting.
Much more exciting than I thought it was gonna be.
Yeah.
I thought the Colts were just gonna smoke the Cardinals, but they ended up kicking that field goal there at the end to win the game.
And I believe no Kyler Murray for Arizona, correct?
No Kyler Murray. So I thought it was just going to be an easy win. Now the Seattle Jaguars game, that was a weird one too. I for some reason thought the Jaguars were going to win that game. Seattle hasn't looked good at all this year. And,
except for the game that they lost against the Bucs. They really played well in that game, actually. Sam Darnold was really good in that game.
They play well against Florida teams for some reason. I don't know.
I know. They could have beaten they should have beaten the Bucs, actually.
Yeah.
If not for that turnover late in the game, because the Bucs intercepted the ball and then came back and kicked the field goal.
Yep.
And they, but see, I think the Jaguars were kind of this on like a hangover after their Monday night big win against Kansas City the previous week. They come back and they don't do much. Travis Etienne didn't do well. Nobody did.
So look, in my league, I took out. Mm-hmm. The running back for New York, and I put in Etienne.
Oh gosh!
And now because Etienne was doing good the last couple weeks, so I was like, I'll put him in.
Yeah.
And Scatterby just went off, and Etienne didn't do anything. Another back and forth game that shouldn't have been a back and forth game. The Chargers Dolphins game. What the hell is going on in NFL this week?
And that game, I think, came down to one play on the last Charger drive. Somehow Justin Herbert, former Duck, was able to avoid a sack between like 3 Dolphin defenders, got the ball out to Ladd McConkey, the former Georgia tight end. Yeah, I love him too. Ladidi McConkey, right? Remember from Key and Peele, Ladidi McConkey. Ladd McConkey, I think he had like a 42-yard play there, and they ended up kicking that game-winning field goal. Mike McDaniel has to go, man. The Dolphins, the Dolphins are. Come on.
No, they have all the talent in the world, and they can't do anything with it, dude. Just Waddle, and now that they have the resurgence of Darren Waller, unbelievable, dude. He's unbelievable, dude. I love that guy. He's great. He's everywhere he goes. He's scoring. He's doing the right things. He runs great routes.
Didn't even play last year, remember?
No.
Yeah, he was awesome in 2023 with the Raiders.
Sure.
Didn't play last year, and you're right. He had a resurgence. And they also have Devon Achane. I mean, he's
Achane. They have Mozart backing him up. Dude.
Ollie Gordon as a running back as well.
I'm telling you, Mozart would start anywhere else, but he's not. Yeah. So, dude, unbelievable. Yeah. The Rams beating the Ravens, not a surprise.
I mean, not a surprise now that Lamar wasn't playing and their offense just can't do anything.
They can't do anything, dude. Another team with stacked team that can't do anything. Again, I have what's his name? Derrick Henry. He sucks this year. The first game,
he's just fumbling the ball left and right. He can't hang on to the ball.
First game, great. Hasn't done anything since. So he's going up on the trading block, and he's looking for a running back. I got Derrick Henry. So another game, upsetting.
You have Rico Dowdle.
Yeah, the Cowboys against Panthers game. Dude, I'll throw a stat out there to you that I'm not sure if you know about, and I might have said it last week, but I don't know if you know this, but the Cowboys have the number 1 offense and the number 32 defense. You cannot win games with the 32nd defense. It's not going to happen. We score 30-plus points almost every single week, like 30-plus, so it's plus 30, like always plus 30. We win. Our offense is great. Like, even without Lamb, we can still score.
George Pickens, he was amazing that game. Yeah.
Pickens has been unreal this year.
Right.
But if you can't stop anybody, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So
you're right.
Rico Dowdle got his get back against the Cowboys. McMillan got a touchdown. Like I said, could be the rookie of the year. Him and Cam, I think, are going to be going back and forth for rookie of the year. And I don't know, man. I don't know what it is with the Cowboys. I don't know.
Has there been a better player in the last 2 weeks than Rico Dowdle? I mean, no. I mean, because not only what he did this week against Dallas, but the previous week against Miami, right, at home, he went off as well. So he's now a primary, huge piece of Dave Canales' offense going forward.
Absolutely. So, yeah, terrible game for me. The Patriots Saints, Patriots coming up on top 25-19. The Saints are just bad. They
are, but Drake May is making strides, man. If there's somebody that from last year to this year, and what a difference a coaching change makes, right? Now they have Mike Vrabel as their head coach, who used to be at Tennessee, and he's been great for Drake May. I mean, he's looking really good. And this is a New England team that if everything falls, all the pieces right for them, they could be a wild card team this
year. Yeah, I don't think that they're going to make any noise in the playoffs if they do make it.
No.
But it would be good for them. Good for them after they haven't been there since Tom Brady.
Disaster. So. Exactly.
Yeah, so Steelers Browns, Steelers 23-9 over the Browns. Dude, I saw his shirt today, dude, that made me laugh so hard. If I had water in my mouth, I would have spit it out. It says Cleveland Browns, but it just says BRONS. And then underneath it says another week without the dub.
Look, I mean, they have to be kicking themselves. They have to be kicking themselves for letting somebody like Baker Mayfield go after the slew of quarterbacks. I mean, you have Dylan Gabriel starting, who was a good college quarterback, but he's not going to do anything, I think, in the NFL. You got rid of a Joe Flacco now. Shedeur Sanders is your back. Come on. I mean, what are the Browns are just going nowhere fast.
Yeah, I don't know what they're doing. I really don't know what they're doing. The Raiders winning 20-10 against the Titans. I mean, that's a no-brainer. The Titans are
and they got and the Titans coach got fired. Bill Callahan got fired.
As it should have happened, probably a couple weeks late. So nothing to really talk about there. Raiders took care of business. Buccaneers winning 30-19. I thought that was a great win, especially with how many people they have injured. Unreal.
Yeah, Bucky Irving didn't play for the second straight week. A guy like Tess Johnson had to step up and made a great catch. Shepard has been playing well as a receiver. But, of course, they have Mike Evans, who's down as well. Again, Baker. I mean, he's just been – and this is the first game of the year that the Bucs have actually been able to do a victory formation.
Yeah.
Because every other game they've won in the last minute.
Yeah.
So, they're the best team right now in the NFC record-wise. They go into Detroit for a huge Monday night game next week.
Yeah.
And that's going to show if the Bucs are for real, man.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll talk about that in a second. But the Bengals-Packers game, again, Bengals are just not good right now. It's just they keep on struggling. Again, they have the pieces. They just can't put it together. Now with Joe Flacco under the helm, I don't know what's going on with him.
That was already Joe Flacco's second start against the Packers this year. Can you believe that? This is week 6, and this is different teams.
Yeah.
He beat them. He beat them with the Browns. That's their only loss so far of the year. And then he goes in here and he plays poorly at Lambeau. Look, I don't know, man. The loss of Joe Burrow, of course, hurts because, Jamar Chase is actually catching everything in sight.
Yeah.
And they have great receivers. I mean, they have T. Higgins, who's really good. Chase Brown is not a bad running back. So, like I said, their offense is good, but without a good quarterback to lead the way, I mean, you're not going to do anything.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. The Packers roll, of course. Last game to talk about, again, I don't know why we're always ending on sad games for you, but the Chiefs-Lions game.
Oh, man.
This one, I think, was the biggest upset of the week. And here, I'll tell you why. I think the Lions coming off last week, and then the Chiefs. And what did we talk about earlier? That once a team takes a beating, they come out the next week just ready to play. Like they're like, we're not going to lose this week, right? I don't know if the Lions came too overconfident or the Chiefs just came fully ready for it. I'm not sure, but I can tell you that the Chiefs are not 30-17 better than the Lions.
No, absolutely not. I mean, they're 500 right now, and they were more desperate. That's the thing that we can say about the Chiefs. They came back home, primetime game against a good Detroit team, and yes, you're right. They're not 30-17 better than them, but Detroit's secondary is absolutely depleted. I mean, the injuries, again, that was an issue for the Lions last year. That was one of the reasons they were throttled in the playoffs by Washington. They were able to do in the regular season what they could, but they had 15 guys on IR, and they've already got 3 more this year. They had Maddox, their backup, also out. They had Kirby Joseph, who was playing injured, as well as Brian Branch. But they were able to start the game. I don't know, man. I don't understand why the injuries keep piling up on Detroit's defense, and that I think had a lot to do with it. The defense being down.
And now that sets up this Monday night, game next week, where I really don't know who to pick. Do I pick a Baker Mayfield who is a winner and goes out and wins in the fourth quarter and can get it done? Or do I pick the Lions, who are, I believe, better than the Buccaneers? They're playing at home. They have all the cards. I don't know. I don't know. I want to pick the Lions. I really do. I don't know.
Like the Chiefs were desperate to win at home this week, the Lions are going to be desperate to win. I don't think the Lions have lost back-to-back games in about 2 calendar years. Think about that. I mean, you used to be able to say the Lions haven't won 2 games in a row in a bunch of calendar. Now it's the other way around. I'm serious. They don't lose back-to-back games, and they have their bye after the Monday night game. So look, they're going to be desperate. They're at home. They're going to have, it's going to be loud at Ford Field. Honestly, I think they're going to right themselves. They need to do something to get guys on defense back, and maybe at the trade deadline, Brad Holmes brings in some guys. Because he hasn't been known to do this. He hasn't been known to add big pieces. But I don't know. I think the Lions are going to come out full throttle 100% in that game against Tampa Bay.
But kind of like we said just a minute ago, I think that their secondary is a little bit depleted. And yes, the Bucs are not coming in full healthy. I think that Ibaka is shown out this year. So I think for me, right, this is just, me, the 3 front runners for the Rookie of the Year right now is either going to be McMillan, who I think is in 3rd. I think it could be, the running back for, the running back for the Giants. Another one that's up there with him is Jackson Dart. I mean, who knows? Depending on where they go, who knows? It could still be him or, Ibaka. I don't know. One of those guys, I believe, will be the Rookie of the Year.
And here's another thing that's not good for the Lions is that Brian Branch got suspended for a game without pay because of what happened after the game last night where he hit Juju Smith-Schuster. I don't know if you saw that. But he was frustrated. I mean, 0 penalties on Kansas City, obvious no calls. Obvious taunting by Patrick Mahomes on Brian Branch. There was a play earlier in the game that wasn't even reviewed that Travis Kelce would call for a catch, and the ball hit the ground completely. I mean, I don't know what it is. And then there was an Aiden Hutchinson hit on Patrick Mahomes, which didn't even really look like a big hit. But the Chiefs get all the calls. I hate to talk about officiating, but this is becoming an issue. I mean, something needs to happen. I don't know why it is. I don't know if it's coincidence, but it seems that for the last 2 or 3 years, Kansas City gets all the calls, and it's so frustrating. And that is why Brian Branch was frustrated. Now, he should not have hit Juju Smith-Schuster because now they don't have him for next week's game, and he's a huge part of that secondary. Yeah. So already a secondary who is missing guys is going to be missing Brian Branch. I don't know, man. The offense for the Lions is going to have to play almost perfect next week. But
can Baker Mayfield make the best of that? Who knows? We'll see next week where we come back. We'll still have extra innings next week with Alfredo. We'll also do some pick'ems next week as well. We'll talk playoff middle school football. We will talk a little high school football. We may have a guest. Who knows? A lot of everything. So,
and breaking news: the Mariners did defeat the Blue Jays tonight, so they are now officially up 2-0 in their series.
Oh man! So your prediction is coming to fruition so far. So
yeah, and if we're checking on the NLCS right now, it's in the top of the third, and that's still scoreless. So
okay,
we'll see. We'll see. I mean, yeah,
we'll see. But man, as always, it's a pleasure doing the podcast with you. Hopefully we can get a guest next week. I'm trying to look at Ian Beckles maybe to get him on the show. Former Buccaneer.
Former Buccaneer.
Yeah. So try.
And he's on the radio, right? Isn't he on the radio with Gene Deckerhoff at the 50-yard line?
I don't know if he's on the 50-yard line, but definitely he does some radio. I'm trying to get Martin Gramatica to come on with us as well. Possibly either getting one of his kids on here as well too. So kicker for USF.
And one last thing can I say before we go? Just congratulations. Jim Lauk, I don't know if you know who he is, but he has been the voice of USF football and other sports since football began at USF. He's been there overall for 43 years, and he announced his retirement after football season. And I worked with Jim when I was at USF calling the baseball games. So a good guy, very knowledgeable. Nobody knows more about USF football than he. He's literally done every USF football game in the history of that school. And he is retiring after 43 years. So congratulations to Jim Lauk.
Congratulations, Jim. Maybe we can get him on the show, or maybe we can get one of your friends from baseball, possibly. One of that guy that you knew, the pitcher. Remember him?
The pitcher?
The one that his daughter was on the singing show?
Oh, Joe McGreen.
Joe McGreen. Yeah, maybe we can reach out to Joe McGreen, maybe get him on the show, talk a little bit baseball as well.
Yeah, we can talk about how he could have been a Hall of Famer, but ended up barreling out after a couple of years. I don't think he'd be very happy with that.
No, we can't talk about that. But anyways, you can catch us live every Monday night, 7:30 p.m. As always, it's a pleasure, Alfredo. We will talk to you later on this week. I hope you enjoyed your extra innings.
Yeah, it was awesome.
And we will talk more baseball, football, everything. And maybe, just maybe, we can squeeze in some hockey. And for everybody watching, this has been Mic'd Up Monday. Peace.